Hey, welcome to another edition of Ask Ralph the Evaluator, and I'm Ralph the Evaluator. Been getting lots of good feedback from everybody on my videos. Thank you very much. And there's been requests for some more ET5 evaluation top 5 lists. Today's list is going to be the top 5 reasons why it's great to be an applied evaluator. I consider myself an applied evaluator. How is that different from anybody else? Well, we are actually in the field doing the work. That's very different than those of us who call ourselves evaluators who are working maybe in an academic institution or a bureaucracy of some type, who never actually get into the field and, well, they don't get their hands dirty. But we get our hands dirty as applied evaluators, and we're the ones that are bridging theory and practice. So it's a great job to have. I love it. There's so many unanticipated benefits that have come my way as a result of being an applied evaluator. And those are the things that I would like to share with you right now. Apologize for that. I'm still getting used to all this YouTube stuff and working back and forth, but we'll get there. I guess part of the charm is having something that's maybe not as polished. I mean, that's kind of like being an applied evaluator, right? So without further ado, my top 5 list. Number 5, you get to travel and work in the real world. Yeah, it's awesome to be an applied evaluator because you get to travel and work in the real world. Michael Scrivens said that evaluation was a transdiscipline. And what he meant by that was that all of our skills that we have can be applied to different substantive areas, right? You can work in cancer, you can work in sports, you can work in public health, you can pretty much work in any area you can think of, emergency management, whatever it is, and apply your evaluation skills. But that same set of skills, that is the transdisciplinary nature of our work, also means that we get to get out there and travel. And just give you some examples of things that I've been able to do, just been blessed. One, I've been able to get to Zambia and work with the miners there on mining safety issues. I've been able to get up to Alaska and see the great outdoors up there, but working on seasonal affect disorder up in Fairbanks area in the Arctic Circle. I've been able to get to the Hawaiian Islands and to Molokai on a substance abuse program and helping evaluate that. And guess what? You learn other things when you're on these trips. You get to learn about things like a Hansen's colony. Yeah, there's still a Hansen's disease colony, believe it or not, an active colony in the United States. And if you're not sure what Hansen's disease is, it's leprosy. So yeah, we still have a leper colony. Can you believe that? I would have never known, but by being an applied evaluator and being able to get out to these different places, you get to learn a whole bunch of things. I've been able to get to Brazil. How fortunate am I to get to Brazil and work on deforestation issues with the researchers there. Been able to see where the dirty water meets the clean water of the Amazon River, the great Amazon River, and be able to swim in it. And guess what? There's pink dolphins. There's such thing as pink dolphins. Had no idea. But one of the benefits of being an applied evaluator is you get to all these different places in the world and get to learn so many cool things, not just about the projects you're evaluating, but the different areas in the world and how different cultures and that kind of thing. So it's super cool. Number 4, you get to learn from the experts, not who I call the experts. You know, after I finished my dissertation, I absolutely hated reading. I didn't want to read anymore. Working on that dissertation just absolutely ruined my love of reading. So, I like to learn by listening to others and having others share. And being an applied evaluator, that's exactly what you get to do. I learned from this gentleman here all about food safety. He's a food safety inspector, and I was helping evaluate their food safety inspection program. There's a pretty complex series of things that are required to be able to make sure your food is safe, that the food we eat in a restaurant is not going to harm us. And I'm able to learn firsthand by going, seeing, and how it's all done. from an expert. How great is that? I don't have to read about it. You contrast that to trying to learn from someone in academia who hasn't got any applied experience. It's just frustrating, and so many times when you're talking to those folks, they're just wrong. They're just wrong about so many things because they just don't have the field experience. Number three, the great thing about being an applied evaluator, you have to think on your feet. You got to innovate. And I love that challenge. I love the challenge of like, okay, how are we going to solve this problem? And what are we going to do about it to help our client? One of the projects we worked on was a housing revitalization project. And we came across a situation where it was difficult to get that data from our clients, the clients being public housing residents. Well, why was it difficult? Well, many of them were illegal. And, they don't want to be discovered by the government, or they're fearful of coming forward. So how are we going to get that data? Well, we're going to train residents themselves to collect it. How about the pandemic? Oh my God, what a challenge that was. A real world event happening so quickly, every day, everything changing so fast. How do you evaluate that? Being able to think about how I bring my emergency management background and understanding, and my understanding of systems and how systems work, to be able to contribute in real time with recommendations to make sure that the response goes smoothly. I mean, it's just, I guess some of us might get a little bit nervous or scared about that. But if you're an applied evaluator, you gravitate to that. You gravitate to that challenge because it's just so cool and fun and meaningful. Another place that I was able to innovate was in the evaluating cardiac care systems in 7 rural American states. So the cardiac care system's got a lot of moving parts, right? There's law enforcement, that's sort of the 911, or in Australia, I think 000, emergency. So there's a call that comes in there, and then EMS, emergency management services, the ambulance is dispatched, and then they got to communicate to a hospital and maybe another paramedic, and then they got to get that all coordinated and get to the right place at the right time. That is challenging. How do you evaluate something like that? I mean, it's just really never, I checked everywhere. No one had really done it in real time. And I was able to draw on my emergency management background and adapt the Homeland Security exercise evaluation program and adapt it to my needs to be able to run simulations, real world, full scale exercises where I'm able to observe all the different components working and stop it and slow it down and test it. Just awesome opportunities to innovate. Number 2, great reason to be an applied evaluator. You can make recommendations that are actually going to be used, right? One of our evaluation standards is utility. Utility, that's almost like our gold standard. We have failed as evaluators if our recommendations aren't used. So I can't tell you how often I come across evaluators who are in a situation of, as the Australians call it, flick and tick, where you're basically just checking boxes, right? And that's just that just lacks, I don't know, it's just got no reward, no intrinsic value, no extrinsic value, no value to anybody, honestly, when it's just a checkbox exercise. And it's really checkbox exercise, it's just really monitoring, right? That's not even evaluation. And that's a whole nother discussion for another segment, the difference between monitoring and evaluation. But I've been able to work on that cardiac care system that I was just describing, and be able to innovate new methods and so forth, and come up with a methodology that actually mirrors the complex reality in which our interventions are working. And as a result of getting something that's more meaningful in terms of its fit, the evaluation more meaningful in terms of its fit to what people are actually doing, you're able to derive recommendations that people will use. I don't know about you all, but so many times in previous evaluation life, when I was just doing theory-driven evaluation, I would generate a report, and maybe if I'm lucky, I don't know, 5–10% of those findings would be used. But as a result of being able to experiment in the field, to be able to test how the methodology works, if it's going to be useful, and to test it again, I was able to come up with a way for folks to generate recommendations grounded in systems thinking that are meaningful for our client. I mean, that's exciting, but it's only because as an applied evaluator, I got to be in the field and test these ideas out. And what a difference it made. I mean, what a difference. When we start tracking our evaluations as a result of applying systems evaluation theory. And again, the name sounds a little bit academic, but it's really not, because it really is a bridge for you to evaluate complex interventions that are operating and functioning as the systems. And when we do that, when we actually are true to that and have an evaluation that mirrors what's going on in the field, the operational reality, guess what? You can come up with recommendations that are used. And over 80% of our recommendations that are made using systems thinking and systems approaches that match those complex interventions, 80% of those recommendations are not just considered, but adopted. How powerful is that? And that's motivating, right? That's motivating for us as evaluators that our work's being used. And it's motivating because it's leading to betterments in society. And that, as Mel Mark and his group once said, that is kind of our ultimate goal as evaluators, is to have the information we provide to people help them make decisions to improve the lives of the people they're serving. What could be more rewarding than that? And that's kind of where I'm heading with number one, which is our work makes a real world difference. The health inspectors, we're keeping people from getting sick with foodborne illness. In the cardiac care, we saved, as a result of the evaluation changes, as a result of the testing we did, as a result of the streamlining we were able to do in practice, we were able to save over 250 lives. You know, academics, most of the stuff they're doing isn't saving any lives, and they're not really making a real world difference. And I think part of our problem, of course, is that those in academia who call themselves evaluation or evaluators aren't really evaluators at all, are they? They're just researchers. And it's not that researchers aren't important. Yes, they're very important, but they're not evaluators. They have a completely different purpose. They themselves don't understand that purpose because they are, ironically, eggheads. With that said, that's my top 5. I hope you enjoyed it. I would love for you to subscribe to the YouTube channel, Ask Ralph the Evaluator, join a book club. Go to that site there, join a book club, and start to network with other folks like us, other applied evaluators, and join applied evaluators who are trying to evaluate challenging new situations, new interventions that are designed to meet the operational reality in the world. So, this is an exciting time to be an evaluator. It's an exciting time to be an applied evaluator. I hope you're encouraged by some of the upsides that I've mentioned today, and I hope you reach out and start to pursue doing just that. Just reach out there, take a chance, become an applied evaluator, get out there and do the work. It's rewarding. And remember, when you start to understand the context, when you're working in the context and meeting all these people and understanding how things really work, guess what? Your recommendations are going to be a lot more meaningful too. And people who are going to act on those recommendations will be making positive change to society. And that's a wonderful thing. So I hope you enjoyed this segment. As I said, please keep sending your feedback. I appreciate it, and we'll look forward to our next session.